Hello, dear friends. Welcome to Kardec Radio and welcome to this very special day. Today, 4th of July of 2021, and we celebrate together Kardec Radio 10th anniversary. What an accomplish a decade of this beautiful work on the good here on earth. Friends, now more than ever, we need so much to nourish our souls. We are at a time that we go to our day to day lives and we are spiritually deprivated of this nourishment to our souls. We're so worried about our bodies, our health, but majority of the time we forget the most important part, which is our spirit. How do we nourish our spirit? And that's why Kardec Radio is here. Kardec Radio in the past 10 years has been bringing to us the teachings of Spiritism. It has enlightening our lives, really changed lives throughout our world. So we are all here together in this celebration, and not better way to celebrate it together than to read a message so we can reflect in the message that we are bringing today. It's titled Jesus, Kardec in Us. Wow. Jesus and Kardec, two figures that literally changed the course of humanity on earth. It's before and after, right? This two beautiful souls. Of course, Jesus has the governor of our planet, has our guiding model, has the purest spirit that ever incarnated on earth. He came to show us the pathway, to really guide us, to exemplify what is to be this true human on earth. Let us recap. Jesus didn't come to show us how to be an angelic spirit, right? He came to show us what is to be this true human because we're still very, very, very animalistic. We are in the spectrum of our spiritual evolution, is still so close to the animal kingdom. We're still very reactive, right? But Jesus came to show us how we can really use our conscience, our minds, and how we can put the laws of God into practice. But he told all of us that that's he couldn't tell us everything yet. We were not ready yet. That's why a lot of the teachings that he brought to us were in the form of parables, of stories. But he said, one day I will bring you the promised consoler that will stay with you throughout eternity. And then here we are. Kardec comes and brings us Spiritism. The exemplary work, the dedication that Kardec did at a time that it was really took a lot of courage from him, his wife, to take this step forward. And if you haven't watched yet, we cannot talk about Kardec and his life without recommending the beautiful movie that was made that's available. If you have Netflix, is available for free, called Kardec. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful portrait of his life to all of us. So these two figures, Jesus, Kardec, and then us, where do we come in to this story? Well, that's what Emmanuel is going to tell us all about. So, friends, let us then break this down, this message together. Jesus, Kardec, and us. We will read each section one by one. We're going to stop, we're going to make some comments, and then at the end, we have a beautiful recording of this message that we will all hear together so we can bring it all together at the end. So let us share our screen so that we can then read this beautiful message together that is published in English in this book, Enlightening Messages, Spiritual Messages, Prayers, and Tales by several spirits authors through our dear Chico Xavier. But this message was brought to us by Emmanuel, Jesus, Kardec, and us. So let us read it together, friends. Emmanuel says, had Jesus thought too highly of himself, so not to tolerate contact with human weakness? Had he believed that everything should be left to God to do? Had he admitted that we were forever lost in our rebellion and delinquence? Had he constrained the success of his teachings to support of the highly educated? Had he waited for monetary endowment and political backup in order to carry out his work? Or had he backed down in the face of sacrifice? We certainly would not have the light of the gospel, which opens us the path of spiritual emancipation. So, right here, he starts by talking about our guide and model. So, let us picture ourselves there, friends, as in this beautiful afternoon at the top of the mountain, sitting there with Jesus, hearing the teachings of the gospel directly from him. Had Jesus really thought that, you know, why lose my time, right? Because he was the governor of our planet. He knew that he was gonna come and it would be hard. Yes. If it is hard now to talk about loving our neighbors, helping one another, can we imagine 2,000 years ago? Yes. So if Jesus thought too highly of himself to say, wow, how come I'm gonna incarnate and be amongst humans that are still very, very primitive in a way, right? A pure spirit come and incarnating on earth at a time that, yes, there was no air condition, there was not even the bathrooms that we have at the time with shower. Jesus used to walk long distance and there were no tennis shoes, right? If you were lucky, you had a simple sandal, right? So things like that. And he came our guide and model. He humbled himself. He didn't think too highly of himself. If he had admitted that we were all lost, well, how come I'm gonna incarnate and they gonna crucify me? Or if he waited for this monetary endowment. So let us bring this to us, friends, because as we started talking about Jesus as our guiding model, he came to show us the pathway. And he said, You can do what I'm doing now and much more. So he came to show us the pathway that we have to follow. So, are we those who are waiting for this backup, this monetary endowment, or this recognition to be able to really follow Jesus? Do we think too highly of ourselves to go out of our comfort zones? Sometimes to help someone that lives on the streets, or sometimes to humble ourselves and ask for forgiveness? Or do we stop doing the work because it takes sacrifice? It is not easy. Yes, friends, we do live in a planet of trials and expiations. So, doing the good work, it's not easy. We are celebrating today's 10 years of Kardec Radio, but all those 10 years, I'm sure, were through a lot of sacrifice from a lot of people who came along the way to work on the good, to persevere no matter what. So if wasn't for all those who came, and of course the mentors that we're so grateful for all their hard work, but those here on earth that made this happen, we wouldn't be here today, right? So the question is, the reflection for us, are we waiting for are we waiting for the recognition? Are we waiting for the monetary endowment? Oh, yes. People say, oh, but I will do it. I will work for the good, or I will help when, and then they list, right? When I retire. Oh, no, now I can't because I need to take care of my family. Friends, if we wait for everything to be aligned and to be in the perfect place, it's not going to happen. Jesus came to show us that we need to persevere. We need to move forward. We cannot see and wait for the right time. The right time is right now. So, if it wasn't for Jesus' sacrifice, we wouldn't be here. So, how many are waiting for our sacrifice, for our perseverance to do the work that we are to do so that they can come along? It is like the lighthouse, the beautiful lighthouse we have here in the United States along the coast, beautiful lighthouse. What do? They guide, right? They are source of light. They guide the ships that come in and out. So what happens if the light extinguish? What will happen to those who are depending on those lighthouses? So Emmanuel is telling us, let us be the lighthouse. Let us be the indicators, those who show the pathways for those who are waiting for us. Sometimes in our families, inside our own roofs, there are those who are waiting for us to sit down, teach them about the gospel, to pray together, because then we don't want to get towards the end of our reincarnation and realize it is too late, right? Lots of food for thought, but let us continue because there is more for sure. So then Emmanuel says, Had Allan Kardec overrated his earned position in the aristocracy of intelligence, placing deserved honors and titles above his own convictions? Had he been expecting the partaking of illustrious personalities in the message which he bare? Had he waited for financial support to plunge into the task? Had he considered his difficulties as an educator with scarce time to devote to commitments outside his profession? Or had he backed down in the face of slanders and personal attacks which mark his pathway? We would not have the Spiritist codification which complements the gospel and integrate us into the responsibility of living. So now Emmanuel is bringing us even more things for us to reflect regarding our pathway. Because if wasn't for Allan Kardec, yes, he had a high position in the aristocracy of the time. He was an educator, he was very well known. He had studied with educators at the time that were pioneers at his time. So if he had thought for himself, no, I'm not gonna give up, quote unquote, because we know that he wasn't giving up in the lights of immortality. But if he thought, well, I'm not gonna work on spiritism because what are people gonna think? And they did, right? He said, as the message says here, he faces slander. He faced a lot of personal attacks. A lot of people that were quote unquote his friends or colleagues turned their back at him. So, had he backed down, we wouldn't have spiritism in our lives, right? If he expects that the illustrious personalities at the time would accept spiritism, then we would not be here. So, again, let us bring this close to us because it's not something that's out there. Oh, but that was Jesus or that was Kardec. No, it's all of us. It's a call for all of us. Are we waiting for others to partake illustrious personalities that we can come along? Are we waiting for the financial support? Oh, when I have a, a better financial position, oh, I'm going to work very, very hard and I will save money. So then I can help. I can do this and that. And then what happens, friends? Well, life comes and life happens. And then sooner rather than later, maybe we're called back. Again, let us use the time that we have. If Kardec considered his difficulties as an educator with scarce time to devote to the commitments outside his profession. This one is key, friends, because we live in a world right now that is so fast paced. And people say, oh, but I don't have time. Do we really don't have time? But if someone calls us and invite us to a trip, to a party, to a gathering, we would make time, wouldn't we? So why we don't make time to devote to things outside of our professions? Or others who they say, oh, but I'm so busy. I have to work. I have to feed my family. Yes, definitely. We need to put food at the table. But Are we overworking because we want the superfluous things of life, leaving what is the most important, which is the nourishment of our souls, to the side, to, oh, if I have time, but my material possessions, my financial situation comes first? Well, friends, let us remember, we when we are called, we will not take any of those things with us. Are we? We will not. And then Emmanuel continues saying, reflecting on Jesus and Kardec, we do not understand our thoughtfulness when we declare ourselves. You ready? We declare ourselves too virtuous, too busy, too educated, too shy, too incapable, or too disillusioned to attend to our own obligations in the Spiritist philosophy. This is the key, friends. Our own obligations. Yes, all of us, we have an obligation in the Spiritist philosophy. Each one of us are unique, and each one of us have a unique reincarnatory plan that we came to fulfill. So, if we declare ourselves too virtuous, oh, no, but who am I, right? That is not for me, or that is only for Jesus and for Kardec or for Chico Xavier and Divaldo Franco, right? How many people say, who am I? What I'm going to be able to do? Well, every work is blessed. Yes, every work's blessed. And all of us, we have our role. And it's equally important. Do we say we are too busy, as we were just talking about, or too educated, or too shy? That's why Jesus says courage is one of the trademarks. We need courage to step out of our comfort zones. Or others say they are too incapable, or they are delusional. They get sidetracked with what? With what society tells us. Yes, we live in a world, friend, that society is still, we need to be very careful, because the life that society says it is accepted, we need to stop and reflect so we don't get ourselves entangled in what everyone else is doing. But what are we doing? Let us stop and think. As André Louis says in the book's Mechanisms of Mediumship, there's two current of thoughts, the constructive and the destructive. There's no neutral. So stop and think, whatever we are doing, is this something constructive for myself, or it is something destructive? And I just numbing my senses, or I am nourishing my soul. I am connected to constructive thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. And then Emmanuel ends saying, if we consider this the master and the apostle of human renovation, pass among men, suffering lacerations, exemplifying the good for love of the truth, while we, in bad consciousness, run away from learning and serving for our own benefit. Undoubtedly, we will be, without noticing, under the hypnosis of an unseen obsession, showing balance on the outside and madness on the inside. Unseen obsession. This week, friends, we're studying with Spiritist scholars from Brazil. And if you speak Portuguese, we recommend that you go to the Spiritual Society of Virginia webpage, ssvirginia.org. And there you find under the study of the book in Portuguese, No Rumo do Mundo de Regeneração, towards a regenerative world. We don't know, right, how they're going to translate in English yet, but something along those lines. The scholars from Brazil, Célia Regina Jorge, was sharing with us that in this book, Psychograph by Divaldo Franco, by the spirit Manuel Filomeno de Miranda, we are going through collective obsession. Yes, a collective obsession. Our whole planet. Because in this collective obsessions, those spirits who are still so connected to the material, the passing, the pleasure things of lives, they use all of us, society, those who remember the destructive and constructive currents, they use those connections to what? To get people entangled in what? In alcohol, in unbalanced sexual senses, drugs, sometimes gossipy, right? They talk about anger, people who are always angry or irritated, and you cannot even say hi, and they're like, what are you saying? Why are you talking to me that way, right? So this negativism instead of optimism, pessimism, right? This puts us in this collective obsession. And it's really easy for us to see, right? Just turn on the news, just browse through social media, and we will see that a video talking about a disaster or, so many things that are happening and focusing on the bad things. Oh, yes, those videos get thousands and thousands of viewers and likes. But then you post a video or picture of something elevated, talking about God, talking about Jesus. Then how many viewers or likes? Right there, friends, right? We can clearly see, yes, our society is going through this collective obsession. And Emmanuel is exactly what he's saying here. Our Master Jesus and Kardec, they came and they show us, they went through the suffering themselves. They exemplify that the good for love of the truth will have to go through. While when we run away, we try to escape, then we will be what? We'll be under this unforeseen, this hypnosis. And they use this word they describe on the book. It's like the zombies. They are going through life and they're living life, but they are not even there. So that is the reality of our planet. And understanding that, now we see why. Well, we don't know why, only God knows, right? But this pandemic's coming to shake us up, to really say, let's wake up. Let us not live in the zombie mode anymore. Let us move forward, because if not, we will be in this foreseen obsession, like the tree here. From the outside, oh, everything is great, everything is fine. But inside, we are like the dry branch. Yes, we are dry. We are lacking that spiritual nourishment. So, friends, tonight, Emmanuel, through this message, through Chico Xavier, is bringing us a reminder, all of us, that yes, we have our spiritual obligations, yes, to fulfill. So, what are we waiting? Are we, as he said here, saying, I'm too virtuous, I'm too busy, I'm too educated, too shy, too incapable, I'm too delusional. Oh, many things are happening in my life. Well, Jesus came as our guiding model to exemplify. Yes, the road is arduous. Yes, we will cry, we will fall, we will stand up, we'll feel alone as he did. But at the end of the day, we will march forward, and the glory at the end, yes, it will be beautiful, friends. Because if it wasn't for Jesus, for Kardec, and so many others, including Chico Xavier, who sacrificed his life to bring us this nourishment, to bring us this light of all the books and so many others, right? But if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. So again, let us think. Let us be the lighthouse. Let us do our part so that we can shine the light to all those who are waiting for us to move in their pathway. So we invite now, friends, let us look at this beautiful image and let us hear from beginning to end this message so it stays with all of us tonight. And after that, we'll do our short final prayer to wrap up this program.
Jesus, Kardec, and Deise. Had Jesus thought too highly of himself so as not to tolerate contact with human weakness? Had he believed that everything should be left for God to do? Had he admitted that we were forever lost in our rebellion and delinquence? Had he constrained the success of his teachings to the support of the highly educated? Had he waited for monetary endowment and political backup in order to carry out his work? Or had he backed down in the face of sacrifice? We certainly would not have the light of the gospel, which opens for us the path to spiritual emancipation. Had Allan Kardec overrated his earned position in the aristocracy of intelligence, placing deserved honors and titles above his own convictions? Had he been expecting the partaking of illustrious personalities in the message which he bared? Had he waited for financial support to plunge into the task? Had he considered his difficulties as an educator with scarce time to devote to commitments outside his profession? Or had he backed down in the face of the slanders and personal attacks which marked his path? We would not have the Spiritist codification which complements the gospel and integrates us into the responsibility of living. Reflecting on Jesus and Kardec, we do not understand our thoughtlessness when we declare ourselves too virtuous, too busy, too educated, too shy, too incapable, or too disillusioned. to attend to our own obligations in the Spiritist philosophy. If we consider this, the master and the apostle of human renovation passed among men, suffering lacerations and exemplifying the good for love of the truth, while we, indebted consciences, run away from learning and serving for our own benefit, undoubtedly we will be, without noticing, under the hypnosis of an unseen obsession, showing balance on the outside and madness on the inside.
Let us then pray, friends. We invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. Dear Master Jesus, thank you so much, dear Master. Thank you for incarnating among us to exemplify what is to be the true human on earth. Thank you, Master Jesus, for sacrificing and for showing us that the pathway will be arduous. We will feel betrayed, alone. We will cry and fall. But at the end of the day, we will rise up as you rose. Dear Master Jesus, today we pray for this blessed platform that you allow to bring to earth to manifest Kardec Radio that sustains our souls. Thank you, dear Master, for bringing us Allan Kardec. Allan Kardec, who also, through his sacrifice, his dedication, brought to us the Spiritist teachings that complement the Gospel. And if it wasn't for the many souls in both realms who have for many years, even before Kardec Radio materialized on earth, for their sacrifice, for their incessant work, we wouldn't be here today. We thank the mentors of Kardec Radio, those in the physical plane who founded this consoling instrument, and the many who work day and night to make sure that we can, by the click of a button, learn, nourish our souls, be consoled, and find the support that we need. We pray, dear Master Jesus, that by studying the message of tonight, we can feel renewed in our commitment to you, to ourselves our spiritual obligation so that we can fulfill our reincarnatory plan and our mission. We pray that we don't say that we are too virtuous, that we are too busy or too educated, that we are too shy or too disillusioned to fulfill the work that so many others are counting on us. We pray, dear Master, that we can be renewing our commitment, that we can have courage, the joy of living, and that we can make the sacrifice as many others have sacrificed for us to be here today. We thank the mentors of Kardec Radio that they feel whatever they are, our embrace, that they can feel, renew, and we pray for the many that still are to come to build this work, that they also can feel empowered and that we can be the lighthouses of those who are counting on us. We pray tonight also for those who still have not accepted Master Jesus in their hearts, those who work against the good on earth, those who try to put challenges, barriers, so that the work of the good doesn't manifest on earth. We pray that whenever they are, that they feel the love that you have for each and every one of them, Master, and that your love can penetrate their hearts too, so that sooner rather than later, they can also join in, because we know that we are all children of God. We are destined to progress. And as you told us, dear Master, we will do and we can do what you did and much more. With much gratitude in our hearts, in this beautiful celebratory day, we ask your permission to end these prayerful moments of today. And so be it. Thank you so much, friends, for being here with us in this 10th anniversary celebration. We celebrate, but we also move forward. So many things more to come. Join us in, friends. If you have any questions, write to us at kardecradio@gmail.com and join in, because there are many more beautiful programs to come today. So stay tuned and we'll see you next time. Happy 10th anniversary, Kardec Radio, and happy to you, friends, to all our listeners. Feel our embrace whenever you are. Bye bye.